You don't have to suck up. You don't have to be fake. You don't have to beat around the bush or only say things that your managers and leaders want to hear. You can manage up. You can be authentic, and you can step into who you are and how you actually want to be in your career through principles called managing up. I'm Ashley. I'm the lead mentor with Mentor Me, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to effectively manage up, to lead from wherever you are in the organization and actually build authority in your career by leveraging manage up principles to advance your career. I love talking about managing up, and I love talking about authority because I think that this is a real shifter in the world of work. So often work can be disempowering, right? Work can be disillusioning. Work can have you feeling depleted, like you don't have agency, like you don't have value, like what you say doesn't matter, like it doesn't, move the needle forward, right? But I'm here to tell you that what you say matters. Your work, your effort, the contributions that you're adding to your organization, they absolutely matter. And when positioned well, when effectively managing up, you can make sure that the work that you're doing isn't in vain. And I think a lot of times when I talk about managing up, when I talk about leading from where you are, a lot of women, Black women in particular, are very turned off by this, right? They're like, Ashley, I'm not going to be sucking up. I'm not just going to be kissing a boss's, ASS. Like, I'm not doing that. I want to be authentic. I'm going to be my full self. I'm not going to, pretend for nobody, right? And I get it. You maybe have heard career coaches before say that you have to pretend, that you have to fake it till you make it, that you have to barter on who you are to really advance your career. But I'm here to tell you that's simply not true. You can be authentically who you are and how you truly show up in the world and do real work in your industry, in your organization, with the clients, community, students, stakeholders that you serve through managing up. And managing up doesn't mean sucking up. It doesn't mean kissing up to the boss. It doesn't mean being inauthentic. It doesn't mean being the boss's best friend, but it does mean challenging your leadership. It does mean providing perspective to your leadership. And it also means setting boundaries with your leadership, right? With their boss, your manager, your supervisor, even your team. It means setting boundaries with those folks so they understand where you're coming from as a professional, the value that you're adding, and that they respect that value and that perspective, right? And so today we're going to talk about basically the difference between managing up and sucking up, because I think that sometimes people conflate the two and they can't even buy into the idea of managing up and leading from where they are, because they intrinsically think that managing up or having a conversation with their boss or challenging their boss or considering their boss's perspective is automatically sucking up, and they're not going to do that. But that misleading truth, and it's not a truth, that misleading statement that like managing up and sucking up are the same thing will have you missing out on a lot of growth and development in your career. So let's dive into this topic and talk about the difference between managing up and sucking up, and why you should be managing up in your career in a way that actually adds value to both you, your supervisor, and the overall organization. All right, let's dive in. So number one, managing up is really about being aware and effectively communicating your work and your capacity. One of the things that as a manager, I lead a staff of about 10 to 12 people at any given time in the year. And one of the things that it's important for my staff to do for me, one of the ways that they manage up with me, is that they let me know their capacity. That they let me know what they have time to do. They let me know what they don't have time to do. They let me know when they're overworked. They let me know when they're under capacity and they can take on more. It's important to me that I am listening to my staff. I'm listening to the people who work with me in doing the work that we do, and that I'm understanding where they are at on the capacity scale. scale. It's my expectation that my staff lets me know, hey, Ashley, I'm doing well in this work. I can take on some new projects. Hey, Ashley, I'm really burnt out and overwhelmed in this work, and I really need to slow down projects because I'm feeling like things are piling up. Hey, Ashley, I need some support in my role. I feel overwhelmed. I don't have enough support. I need, additional admin support, or I need a coordinator to help me out here. Hey, Ashley, I feel like I've been working on this project forever. I'm ready to close it out and start a new one. I expect my staff to manage up. I expect them to let me know what's going on with their workload and understanding their capacity. And let me be clear here that this is not just because I'm a good boss. I am a good boss. I pride myself on that. But it's not just because I'm a good boss. Every leader wants to know what's going on with their team. Every leader wants to know where you as a staff member are at in this work. And if you feel like, well, I just don't feel like they care about where I'm at, or I don't feel like they care about what I'm doing, or every time I tell them I'm overworked, they're not listening to me, that's just a sign to me that you are not effectively managing up, right? You're not effectively managing up, because if you feel unheard, if you feel unvalued, that's a sign that you may not be leveraging real contemporary managing up principles to get your employer to listen to you, right? So that's a sign that you may need mentorship. You would benefit from mentorship, because I can teach you how to actually manage up in a way that's going to make your employer take notice. I can teach you how to manage up in a way that you can stop being overworked and underpaid, where you can stop being undervalued, where you can stop being ignored in your work, right? And so if you feel like you're constantly raising your hand and say, hey, pick me, I feel overworked, I don't feel like, anybody's paying attention, I need more, I'm bored in my work, I want to do more. Like, if you're constantly raising your hand like that and nobody's listening, that's a sign that you would benefit from mentorship, because that likely means that you're not managing up in a way that your organization is hearing you and valuing, right, what you have to say as it relates to the work. The opposite of that is raising your hand for every project and hoping that someone notices, right? So that's sucking up. Raising your hand for every project, saying, oh, I can do it, I can take that on. Oh, you need some help over here, I can do that. Oh, you need some help over here, I can do that. Like, if you're constantly trying to figure out where you can fit in, girl, you're sucking up. Like, you're doing too much. Stop. And one of my sort of core principles about the world of work is that you don't have to do the most. You don't have to go above and beyond. You don't have to run yourself ragged to do good work. If you are good at what you do, you can do good work and go home at night, right? If you are good at what you do, you can do good work and turn your phone off on the weekends. If you are good at what you could do, you can do meaningful work, serve the clients, the customers, the stakeholders, the staff that you serve. You can do that work and then turn your phone off in the evenings. If you find yourself working 7 days a week, 7 days a week, 60 hours a week, 12 hours a day, like, that's a sign that you are overworked, likely underpaid, and aren't setting good boundaries. You're not managing up, right? And let me be clear that sometimes, we start with managing up and we end with, this organization is not a good fit for you and we need to transition you away from this organization. But we're going to start through managing up. We're going to start with doing what we can do in your current organization before we think about you transitioning out of that organization. Now, if we do an assessment and we find that there's no way for you to repair the relationships there's no way for you to manage up with those leaders, they're ill-equipped leaders. If we find that there's no career ladders for you in that organization, of course, we will work together to help you find and secure a new role in a new organization, a new industry. We'll work with you on that. But oftentimes it's our inability to advocate for ourselves. It's our inability to ask for what we want. It's our inability to kind of challenge our organization that keeps us stuck in roles that are no longer serving us. And so we're not going to suck up. We're not going to be a pick me. We're not going to raise our hand for every project and overwork ourselves and hope someone notices. We're going to effectively manage up by letting folks know about our capacity, by letting folks know about our boundaries, and by effectively advocating for ourselves in the workplace so that we can get what we want, right? So that's strategy number one, being aware and effectively communicating your capacity. Strategy number two is building and maintaining strategic relationships. A big part of managing up and just management in general is relationships. You need to build and maintain strategic relationships. Now, let me be clear. There's a strategy in building a relationship with the admin assistant at the front desk, and there's a strategies for building, relationships with the vice president. It's all strategy. It's all intentional. And you should have relationships up and down the organizational ladder. But if I don't really want to connect with nobody in here. I ain't trying to make friends with none of these people. This is just a job for me. I'm in and out. All of that energy is not going to help you make more money and have more impact in your career. Relationships matter. And let me be clear, you do not have to be best friends with your boss. You do not have to be going to happy hour with your coworkers every week. You do not have to be having these people at your house, but you need to build a meaningful, intentional relationship that you can leverage. Right? Because so much of the world, not just the world of work, but the world is around relationships. And let me be clear, I do not work on the principle of it's all about who you know. That's a lie. It's not all about who you know. That is a lie. It is not all about who you know. However, what the truth is that relationships matter. It's not just you got to build relationships and you're charismatic and people like you so you get the job. It doesn't work like that, girl. It doesn't work like that. This is not 1980. It doesn't work like that. You actually have to have a skill. You actually have to be good at something. You actually have to be able to speak about what you're good at in a way that's going to make an employer take notice. Let me be very clear. It's not all about relationships. However, relationships do matter. And it's your job. It's your job as a professional to build and maintain strategic relationships. If you don't know how to do that, that's a sign that you need mentorship, right? That's a sign that you need mentorship. I think that too often we're relying on our charismatic personality. We're relying on our charismatic, attitude. We're relying on, our smile and our engaging personality and our ability to talk with our hands and drop in jokes in an interview. And girl, you're not getting called back. You're not getting promoted and you're not seeing career advancement. This is not a popularity contest. And if it is, if you're literally getting hired on your personality, I guess everybody else getting hired on their personality. And do you want to be working in an organization where everybody getting hired on their personality and don't have no skills? So now you got to pick up the slack from everybody because everybody got hired based on their winning personality, but no one actually has skills to do the job and serve the clients, the customers, the students well. Do you want to be working in an organization where it was all a popularity contest? Because if it is, sis, you don't want to work there. Because they might be popular, but not competent. You need to be competent. And you want to work for an organization that is intentionally hiring competent people. So if you are constantly relying on your winning personality to help you advance your career, you're making a critical mistake. The opposite would be to learn how to manage up, learn how to lead from where you are, learn how to build and maintain strategic relationships that you can leverage throughout your career so that you are skill building throughout your career. You're learning more, you're applying your knowledge, you're demonstrating your knowledge, and then you can leverage the relationships with your expertise to see really real growth and advancement in your career. It's not just about who you know. It's also just not about being good at the job. You need both. You need both. You need to have and build strategic relationships. You also need to be good at your job. And you need to be able to articulate that you're good at your job in the relationships that you have. And that's all that managing up is. Managing up is being good at your job, being skilled in your work, having knowledge, training, intentional demonstration of your expertise, and being able to articulate that with leaders across the organization. That matters, and that's managing up. If you do not know how to do that, that's a sign that you would benefit from mentorship. Because if you constantly find yourself in a situation at work where you don't have any allies, where nobody understands you, where senior leaders disrespect you and disregard your work, if you constantly find yourself in a space like that, you are not effectively managing up. That's a gap area for you. And it's important that you fill the gap. Because your ability to effectively manage up is a critical skill in your ability to make more money and have more impact in your career. And if that's a priority for you, learning how to manage up, again, is a critical skill. I teach women how to manage up in my Mentor Me Mastermind. If you need support in that way, if you would benefit from mentorship, I invite you to schedule a call with me. I'm accepting new mentees right now, and you can do so right on my website at mentor-me.org. That's mentor-me.org. You can schedule a call with me this week. We'll talk about what's going on in your career right now, gaps around your ability to manage up, maybe what you've tried already, what's not working, what you feel like you are doing well in your career, and where you have room for growth. And if we both decide that it's a good fit, we'll get you on board into my mentorship program so that I can continue to support you in making more money and having more impact in your career. Thank you so much for watching today's live. If you found it helpful, just send me a DM and say, hey, Ashley, today's live was really helpful. This was really strategic for me to think more about how I can manage up and how I can lead from where I am. I learned something new today. I'd love to get that feedback from you. So shoot me a DM. Let me know if today's conversation was helpful. And I look forward to seeing seeing you on our call this week for you and I to talk more about your career. And of course, in the DMs to let me know what you thought of today's live. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.